Episode 5, Arkhon Revealed. Scene 1, An Order Without Echo.
The machine remains silent. A thin ribbon of smoke curled from the shattered panel at Arkhon's side, rising lazily before dissolving into the high air of the chamber. No alarms followed, no corrective system stirred. Arkhon stood very still. For a moment, it seemed as though he might finally strike, might abandon procedure and lunge forward, clawing for relevance through force. He did not. Violence had never been his language. Instead, he straightened his coat. The gesture was small, almost reflexive, smoothing fabric, aligning seams, restoring an order that no longer existed anywhere else. He lifted his chin and turned sharply toward the guards stationed along the chamber walls. Figures who had, until now, embodied the Dreamwilds' promise of structure. "You," Arkhon said, extending a rigid finger toward them, "detain them, immediately." His voice rang out. Clear, clipped, authoritative, and utterly alone. "This is sabotage," he continued, volume rising where resonance once lived, "a direct attack against Dreamwilds' security protocol." Nothing happened. The guards exchanged glances. Grumpy tightened his grip on the staff he carried, the polished surface creaking faintly beneath his hand. His eyes moved from the smoking wreck of the machine, back to Arkhon. He frowned. "Protocol requires the machine," Grumpy muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. He paused, the thought completing itself slowly. "The machine is broken." Silence. "There is no protocol." A few of the others shifted their weight, not in defiance, not in rebellion, in uncertainty. Arkhon's authority had never rested on loyalty or belief. It had been transactional. Obedience in exchange for safety, orders backed by inevitability, structure guaranteed by machinery. Now the guarantor lay dead at his feet. He spoke again, sharper this time, trying to force the moment back into alignment. "Well?" he demanded. His words fell flat against the stone. No echo answered him. No subtle reinforcement lifted his voice, no faint resonance carried it outward. Stripped of its former processing, his tone sounded small, dry and exposed in the vast chamber, almost shrill against the open air. Arkhon looked around. For the first time, he saw himself as the others did, not elevated, not inevitable, just a figure standing beside a broken system, pointing at nothing. The guards did not lower their weapons, they simply did not raise them, and in that absence of response, something fundamental collapsed. Not a regime, not yet, but the illusion that authority could survive without the structure that had once given it meaning. Arkhon's finger lowered. The chamber remained still.
Scene 2, A Ruler Without a Realm.
Arkhon waited. No command followed his last order, no movement answered it. The stillness did not break. Something in him shifted. Not rage, not grief, but urgency edged with disbelief. He turned sharply away from the guards and summoned the holographic slate at his wrist. Light flared weakly, flickering as the interface struggled to stabilize. Arkhon began to scroll, fast, then faster. His fingers moved with increasing precision, then with mounting desperation. Menus unfolding, clauses expanding, subclauses collapsing into nothing. His breath shortened. "No," he muttered, "this isn't possible." He swiped again. "I carry the responsibility," he said, more loudly now, as if the chamber itself were a tribunal that had misunderstood him. "I carry it so others don't have to." Another frantic gesture. "If I don't carry it," his voice wavered, the edges fraying. "Who stops the chaos?" A pause? Sharp, terrified. "Who?" The slate offered no answer, no emergency statute appeared, no override revealed itself. There was no final paragraph where everything could be forced back into order. Teddy stepped forward, just one step. "It was enough. You didn't carry responsibility, Arkhon," Teddy said evenly. "You owned it." Arkhon froze. "That's not the same thing." The words landed cleanly, not as condemnation, but as diagnosis. Around them, the onlookers, those gathered behind barriers and glass, shifted. The guards did not avert their eyes this time, they watched Arkhon openly. What they saw unsettled them. Not a tyrant, not a monster, but a figure stripped of context. Fingers hovering over empty controls, posture tight with fear, eyes darting for permission that no longer existed. A manager without a system, a ruler without a realm. Arkhon took a step back, then another, not retreating strategically. Simply moving away from the center, away from the space where his voice had once mattered. The shadows along the chamber walls welcomed him without ceremony. He did not vanish, there was no spectacle, he faded only because there was nothing left to hold him in place. No machine, no protocol, no stage before which to perform necessity. His silhouette bent against the stone until it was barely distinct from the darkness itself, and then he was simply, not part of the room anymore. Lucy did not follow him with her eyes, neither did Teddy. What remained was not victory, but balance. Ego no longer enslaved by fear, instinct no longer silenced by control. The voice of command had shrunk to a whisper, and the Dreamwilds, for the first time in a long while, stood without a master.
Scene 3, The Weight of Silence.
Silence settled into the chamber, not the sharp silence of fear, not the brittle quiet that follows catastrophe. This silence waited, it spread slowly, filling the space Arkhon's voice had once occupied, pressing gently against stone and glass in breath. No one rushed to replace it, no one hurried to speak. One by one, the guards lowered their weapons. The motion was unspoken, almost unconscious. Staves dipping, hands relaxing, shoulders easing as though released from a tension they had not realized they were carrying. Metal and wood met the floor softly, without ceremony. Beyond them, the civilians began to rise, not all at once, not defiantly, they stood because they could. Their eyes no longer tracked the shadows at the edge of the chamber. Arkhon was still there, present in form, absent in meaning. But the gaze of the room passed over him without resistance, without interest. He had become unnecessary. Power did not leave him by force, it left because no one reached for it anymore. Attention moved, slowly, inevitably, it gathered elsewhere, toward the glass enclosure. The broken machine lay behind them now, dark, inert, stripped of mystery. The light that had once clung to its surfaces drifted away, inch by inch, as though drawn by something more alive. The illumination shifted, across stone, across faces, across the empty space where authority had stood, until it rested on the glass. Inside, the Queen remained seated. She had not moved during the collapse of systems or the unraveling of command. Her presence had been eclipsed by machinery and protocol, buried beneath certainty and noise. Now, with those gone, she was impossible to ignore, a living being, breathing, waiting. A low resonance seemed to rise in the room. Not a sound so much as a pressure, a steady hum felt rather than heard. It carried no threat, only tension, the quiet insistence of an unanswered question. What now? Lucy felt it, so did Teddy, so did Thinksy, everyone did. The silence did not ask for orders, it asked for responsibility, and all eyes, without exception, turned toward the glass.